What sits at the heart of legislation compliance, as Muthuzi has said, is that we want to advance constitutional ideals. And this constitution was negotiated by all the parties in the country. So they have all agreed to what is in there. And that constitution was introducing a new order, a new beginning. And the parties that negotiated were saying to themselves, let us try and create a better society from what we were in the past. And it was a call to serve the citizens of this country, if you read it correctly and appropriately. And it has in it suggestions that we want to be an inclusive society that will lead to an inclusive economy. And we will appreciate diversity because we come from diverse backgrounds. And the sum total of all that is transformation, ladies and gentlemen. Now, transformation is not a passive activity or a passive act. It's a marked change in form, nature, character, or appearance, especially for the better. You don't transform to go backward. You transform to go upward and become something different. Right. You can see that caterpillar became into something beautiful. Can't you see it? Can you see it, ladies and gentlemen? And it went through a process of turning itself into that beautiful butterfly that can pollinate the plants and the flowers. Right. Now we know that in our context in South Africa, we were a divided society, divided by legislation. Is that true or not? And then when the new dispensation was ushered in, we said, no. The things of the past, we need to correct them. Let us come and bring everybody together and we become inclusive in our approach in terms of cultural diversity, in terms of economy, in terms of everything that we want to do, so that everybody can feel that they are part of this new order. Isn't it? All right. If you agree, Muthuzi has spoken about the Constitution and the preamble. I call the preamble a national promise. These guys, on our behalf, they made a promise that we are going to go forward and we are going to go forward together. And that document is signed. It's a contract that we must live by, all of us. I don't know whether you understand the same context that I've just presented to you. Does it make sense to all of us? It's a contract that we all said, this is what we are going to do. All right. Now, when you want to transform, you need to understand your current state. What is? Do you know what is going on in South Africa as individuals? Do you know the type of problems that you are facing as a result of this transformation? Do you know the impact of the problems that you are encountering as a result of this? Do you know how to formulate solutions that will help us go forward? Because the decision to go forward is there already. We can't keep on standing at the same place. We need to move forward. Do we have solutions that will accelerate our movement forward? Do we have resources that will help us do what we have intended to do? And what type of values do you want to calculate? All that I'm hearing today is this type of corruption, tomorrow is this type of corruption, then there's a VABS heist. Is that what we wanted to do with this new order? If we don't ask these questions ourselves at the individual level, societal level, we will never go anywhere. That has been researched, is a fact. We'll keep on circling around the same place. Do you know what type of goal we want to attain, and how will you measure it at the end of the day? How will you know that you have arrived? And then when you have done all those things, we have to interrogate all those intentions to determine whether they are feasible. It doesn't help just to have an intention and then you start jumping and you don't know where you are jumping to. And then we need to formulate answers that will answer all the concerns that we have. There are so many concerns that South Africans have, but we haven't formulated answers that we all agree to. And then after we have done that, gone through that process, we need to package our solutions and relentlessly pursue them, because we have gone through a mental exercise, ladies and gentlemen. There's no mental exercise that is taking place in this country. Tomorrow this one says this, tomorrow the other one counteracts what I've said. And we all follow. Don't put yourself in that position. Are we together? Don't be what my Teta described this morning. I was so shocked I even went out. I actually went out to say, if this is who we are, then it's a shame. You know, my granny used to do potted plants and ornaments from mud. Do you know that exercise? It's also part of transformation, where you build from nothing, something that has no value, you produce value. So in this process of transforming South Africa, we are saying all of us want to be valuable. We want to be valuable for the country, we want to be valuable for the communities in which we come from, and we want to be valuable to our organizations. We want to create value. That is the most important thing. But the other thing that we need to recognize, and all these materials are available, but in South Africa we seem not to understand how to apply them, is that transformation means change. And change has stages. And people that are affected by transformation or change, most of them normally resist. That's stage one. And we all know these things. And that is what we're experiencing in the country. Firstly, they are shocked by the new dispensation that is coming to the fore. And then, because in their mind, they never dreamed that this situation will come into play, they deny that these things have changed to the stage where they are. And then they start becoming angry to say, thinking that they're losing benefits, they're losing the things that they had. The sense of loss makes them angry, and it makes them fearful. So what does that mean? Will they move forward, or will they hold to their horses? What does that mean? They won't allow you to move forward. That's why you see a lot of disruptions in this country, a lot of protests, a lot of litigation. We don't think for ourselves. The courts are thinking for us. Would you agree with that statement? We have let ourselves to be dictated to by what the court is going to prescribe. But amongst ourselves, we seem not to have the capacity to come to work for the solutions that we desire. And when this transformation moves forward, or change moves forward, people start to accept reality, and they want to explore options. To say, what other alternatives are there that we can consider? Come, let's talk and see whether we can move forward together. And when that stage is passed, then we start rebuilding. We start committing ourselves to the future that we have designed for ourselves. But in South Africa, we are still very far from stage 3 and stage 4. We are hovering in stage 1 and stage 2. Is my analysis correct? So that situation needs to change. Otherwise, the country is going to go into dust. Okay? Now, the change process says if you mismanage it, it becomes disorderly, it becomes disruptive. It actually interferes with everything that you want to do. And I think, for me, that describes our country. Am I wrong? It seems our change is disorderly. Somehow, we are not managing it the way we are supposed. We are not project managing it. We are not communicating effectively. And we are not celebrating the progress that we are making, just to give people hope that we are on the right track. I'm not a preacher. I don't want to talk alone. I want your response. Thank you, man. But then, what are the consequences of mismanaging transformation? And transformation as big as managing the country in terms of the new dispensation. These things, you can find them in all the research reports and the statistic essay reports. You'll start seeing extreme poverty, higher levels of unemployment, economic and social inequalities, economic stagnation. Very recently, we have been told that the country is in technical recession. All those signs are telling us that we are in a troublesome situation. Inadequate government spending on infrastructure, education, and healthcare. Hashtag fees must fall is part of that. NSH, the government has recognized that they must have a health plan that accommodates everybody. At least they're responding to some of the concerns that research has revealed, as if they are not addressed, they are going to give us problems. The incapacity of traditional political representation to deal with the new and unheard of demands of changing society. When the society changes, new demands emerge because people feel that they can see what their needs are, and then they start presenting those needs, and the government is not prepared for all those things. So that is a sign of a problem. Environmental degradation also will give us problems if we don't do that, because we're going to lose our mineral raw materials. Usually, a revolution occurs suddenly, but it must be noted that it is the culmination of a long series of events. So if we don't address the issues that are confronting us, if we don't reflect and try and come with solutions, both at individual level and organizational level and national level, we are bound to face problems. You must just see the TV and see what is happening in South America. People are working with the only clothes that they have and nothing, with kids on their backs. They want to go to America. I don't know how they are going to reach America. But this is a sign of that transformation is not being handled appropriately. Right. Now, what role do we play in this process? How can we influence these changes to the benefit of all? Firstly, if you don't have your own personal development plan to grow yourself, you must remember there's technology coming, there's fourth industrial revolution, and all these funny things that are coming, there are robots that are coming, they're going to displace you. All these people that are saying nice ways that other jobs will be created, and you haven't developed yourself, where do you think you'll feature? Where they're just fooling you. Where do you think you'll feature? You will feature nowhere. You become redundant on the spot. So to avoid that, make sure that you have your own personal development, that you are going to grow yourself. Regardless of the situation, you will be there to contribute something. Okay? And then because also you must remember, there is this thing called global talent mobility. Everybody from anywhere in the world can land here and compete for your job. If they're better qualified, who's going to be employed? So those are the things that you must think about. So you are going to lose out if you haven't organized yourself to be a valuable asset going into the future. Because we are now entering into this space where there's VUCA world, there's so many things. When I grew up, everything was stable. You grew under apartheid, but you knew when you woke up tomorrow, you know you are going to go where you are not allowed to go to the next to your township. If you go there, you're going to be arrested. But you can walk there. Your parents, your uncle is there. But to go there, you must get a permission. So you know everything was structured in the way that it was structured then. But now, because the world is now open, mobility is open to everybody. You need to enhance your conflict resolution skills and negotiation skills. You must be able to fit in any situation in the manner in which you present yourself. And now you are living in a world where if you don't know anything specialized in your field, I don't know, I feel sorry for you. See, I'm not joking, I feel sorry for you. When people come together, like we are coming together, and they start raising a topic or a conversation, there is no contribution that you can make. They just move on, they leave you there. Can you see that? So make sure that you also know something that we will want from you, whether you are working or whether you are self-employed. And you need to build a strong network and skills portfolio. You must know these are the things that I know, and these are the people that are around me, like you are attending an IPM convention today. Make sure that you live here knowing at least 5 people that you don't know before, because those people might open the gates for you tomorrow. And then particularly in South Africa, we need to have creative solving problem skills and also look at the big picture. Our mindset is so structured that we are parochial in our approach. That's why on many things we don't agree, because what I believe in my world, you believe in your world, and the two never intersect. Life is not like that. Let's look at the bigger picture, and there are many intersections where we can find each other and build rapport. Okay, creative solution I speak. And then the other important thing in our context in this country, please develop a habit of reaching out to people of different backgrounds. And in South Africa, I might emphasize different races. Reach out to them. Like I did at golf yesterday. I spoke to almost everybody there. And 2 of them said, no, now we understand. Tomorrow, you must tell the IPM CEO that we want to help as well. We want to contribute by engaging, by talking. Yeah, the ethics in South Africa is something that is forgotten or has been lost. We need to recapture it. And what Materi said this morning is actually disturbing, because if you know there's a problem as an HR professional, and you know that people are being harassed, and you know the laws of the country, and you know everything about employee engagement, and you don't speak up, you're a sellout, aren't you? What do you think? You are sending other people out. and your ethical conduct is questionable. You see, good people? So we need to conduct ourselves in an ethical manner under all conditions and under all circumstances. And then in South Africa, we elect people, and then all of a sudden they dictate to us. They forget that they are accountable to us. So we need to start creating a culture where elected officials know that they are there to serve. They must have a service orientation, not a master and servant orientation. Does it make sense? If I go to Home Affairs, I'm going there to be assisted. If I don't know the process, I expect them to explain the process to me. Not to ask me, you are not supposed to be here, you are supposed to be there. I didn't know. I came here for service. And they must have that patience and decency to treat me like a person whom they must serve, not a person whom they must give instruction to. Does it make sense, good people? So we don't realize that we also have power as individuals. You can see I'm an elder. And I tell them that I'm an African elder. Those that were before me, I respected. Those that were before me, I helped when I realized that they're struggling. Don't do that to me, young man. And I changed my voice. Then they all understand. I'm cool, sorry, we'll help you. You see? They understand. It's not to say they don't know. But they've been allowed to carry on in the way that they're carrying without being corrected. Right. Now is crunch time for all of us to take a stand and to understand a few things. This quotation, I got it from a book called Conscious Capitalism, written by Sisoja and McKay. Their take is that when many more of the 7 billion people in the world, or all of us, are enabled to blossom and empowered to create, we will discover there is no problem on earth that we cannot solve, no obstacle we cannot overcome. Even the challenges that we are experiencing in this new dispensation in South Africa, we have the capacity, the intellect, and the knowledge to resolve them. So I want to ask from you, when you leave this conference, what are you going to do to deepen transformation in your organization, in your community, in South Africa, or the continent? Can I have only 2 thoughts from courageous people sitting in this room? What do you think needs to happen to deepen transformation in South Africa? Okay, perhaps the facilitator will get questions from you. Thank you very much for listening.
Maybe you want to stand here quickly while we just field some questions. I'm only going to take 2 questions and that's it. We're running out of time. And then just to remind you, there is feedback sheets in front of you. Please do fill them in, rate the speaker, the topic, and then we'll have a draw tomorrow morning with regards to that. Anybody, 1 question, 2 questions? Just 1 here from the lady. Anybody else?
Thank you. I'm Ponch Mabelane from Mpumalanga. What I wish to know is, given your experience, what is it that makes us fail with the previous legislation that we believe it's progressive. And you didn't hear me?
Can you repeat that question to him again, Blakey?
I'm saying, given your experience,
Yes.
what do you think made us fail in the implementation of the transformation legislation that we believe it's progressive?
Good.
And maybe why is it that we are now regressing when we were making progress?
That's a powerful question. What we ought to understand is that we are dealing with human beings. And human beings have different beliefs, have different understanding of what life is. So in South Africa, to be honest with you, it seems we rushed into everything. We also did not appreciate that we are dealing with a change process, and we need to deal with the changes that we have introduced in terms of what the change process dictates, and deal with the concerns and the fears of those that expressing those fears, and deal with the aspirations of those that wanted to move forward as quickly as possible in terms of managing the process effectively. And we needed to understand that there are different stages, and when they happen, we shouldn't be surprised. We need to manage those stages so that people can go over them and move forward. And that is possible. Research has proven that if you do it correctly, you will ultimately reach your destination. That's why we are regressing, because people now are stuck on stage 1 and 2.
Okay. One more question, yeah? Do you welcome comments other than basically the question? Okay. Yeah, mine, I just wanted to highlight part of the frustration that is confronting us in terms of change concept is that so far it would appear that all interventions that we have applied, they are basically confirming the resurgence of, let's say for an example, amongst us as black poor people. We have been successful, basically, this is an observation, we have been successful in creating a societal class of a type within the very same socio-political quantum. You have got people that are emerging as richer and as well-being, basically because of the approach which we have taken in terms of transformation as is. For an example, we just had Tunzi from BMF. We're talking about quotas, advancing quotas. And when I'm seated here, I would affirm that people that will basically benefit out of that approach, transformational approach, is none other than the already developed social elites. People who have got access to resources, people who have got an influence politically, people that can be recognized, but you would not necessarily find the issue that we're pushing going to benefit the poor of the poorest. You have correctly reflected that unemployment is very rife. We have got, and it's very rife amongst youth who are employable. What are we basically doing about that? There's quite a number of issues which I feel that policy approach in terms of transformation hasn't really done much progress than what we actually anticipated. And the crux of the issue is that we're not really dealing with the hardcore issues that should basically look at the real factors, where you are finding that majority of us or black people do not have
What Africa Forum has done, they said, okay, they are doing all these things. we are going to organize ourselves and will challenge everything that does not benefit our community. Can you see the difference? But we are sitting and waiting for somebody to do that on our behalf. So before we take a stand and organize ourselves into a movement that will, not necessarily a political movement, but into a forum that will address those questions that I've shared with you. Where are we? Where do you want to go? How do you want to get there? How will you know that we are moving on the right track? And if things are derailed, we raise them with the officials properly. And we take them further in terms of the legal process if they don't respond to us. Exactly like AfriForum does. And they are winning cases left and right. True or false? We need to take responsibility as well. And yes.
Thank you, Ms. Litheko. Let's give him a warm round of Zulu applause.